Okay, so this wraps up the first of several object-oriented programming courses. The goal in this course was to help you understand the why before we started really talking in detail about the how do I, which will come up next. I hope you can see that object-oriented programming is all about agonizing over the details of delegating responsibilities and designing collaborations between objects in order to create a conceptual machine. I hope that one of the most important skills, and we didn't talk about this much, one of the most important skills that I've found is the ability to anthropomorphize or sympathize with objects. It's kind of like method acting, right? To understand the object, I must become the object, sort of thing. All right. Well, honestly, I think that it can help you think about what's happening and what should be happening from an object's perspective. It's kind of like, have you ever seen that episode of Friends? If you're old enough to watch Friends reruns or the originals, where Joey and the friends, they go to London for Ross's wedding, and Joey wants to take a tour, and he gets the map out, and he has to stand inside the map. Well, that's kind of the same thing like whenever I start playing the role of the object and thinking to myself, all right, I'm the object. What do I need to do? I need to communicate with you. I want to create a contract over here to talk with you. All right, somebody should be passing me in something so that I know what to do. And that helps me to kind of reason my way through the design of the objects. All right, so let's talk about what's next. In the very next one of the series of courses on object-oriented programming, I want to talk about programming like an object-oriented programmer. Okay, so we've covered the thinking part, and now we want to get some hands-on exercises, some practice. We'll talk about some UML so that we can express design. Now, Bob, didn't you say UML was, something antiquated? Yes, there are parts of UML that nobody would ever use again, but frequently you'll be standing up at a whiteboard trying to express your ideas or drawing them on a sheet of paper, and you'll want to express it in some way, and there's at least one diagram that almost everybody universally uses, and we'll talk about that the most, but I also want to introduce you to maybe one or two of the others that are pretty popular too. So we'll take a look at class diagrams, sequence diagrams, and maybe one or two others. All right. But after we get through that course, the programming like an object-oriented programmer, we're going to continue on and look at even more principles and patterns. We'll look at thinking in solid principles and patterns, thinking in grasp principles and patterns. Then we'll have a series around domain-driven design. I'm not even sure what I want to call that just yet. We'll have a small series around some of the most popular of the Gang of Four patterns if we haven't already covered them. We'll obviously want to be talking about agile methodology and go hand in hand with Visual Studio Team Services, and then we can go off in a bunch of different directions from there. So there's a lot of work left to do, but hopefully with this first course, you at least understand understand the thought process of object-oriented programming, and now as we move forward, you're going to be able to apply that, and we'll at least be working from a common ground, right? All right, so thank you very much for sticking with me through this. It's been a fun course to work on. It's one of my favorite topics, and we'll pick it back up in the next course. See you there. Thanks.